looks like we've got the bulk of folks. It looks like there's some folks that are still joining the webinar, but
it just slowed down a little bit. So
it has. So again, thanks everybody for joining the EAC today. Kim and I are happy and pleased to again be co-moderating this conversation and discussion. Again, this is a webinar, so folks do have the ability to submit Q&A, which we have staff that are monitoring, watching, and can answer. Folks can also raise their hand to ask questions as we move through the agenda. The agenda and materials are also available online at CalSTRS.com, and so we've got the website there for folks who want to refer to the reference materials. They are posted and available. Kim, I know I'm forgetting something.
I don't think so. I think we're good to move to the next slide and get started with going over our agenda, and then we'll do the question submission process again. We don't have a super long meeting for you today. I know you had a long meeting this morning, so we're gonna hopefully make the best use of your time here today. And so our agenda will start with our legislative update, and then we'll have a presentation on the Medicare Premium Payment Program financial reporting and an update on that. And then our Employer Services training group will be presenting on some resources for all of you. And then we'll have a short open forum time. Again, as Diane mentioned, all of the materials, including the slides, will be available on the advisory committee website, and you should be able to access the full agenda there as well. If we want to go ahead and move to the question submission slide. I think we're all old hat at this now after having done this for what, almost 2 years now. Goodness gracious, 1.5 years. So in this webinar format, you can raise your hand and the presenter will see that in the participant view. We did tell all of our presenters that they can take raised hand questions at whatever point feels comfortable for them in their presentations. So you might have to wait a little bit to get called on, but you will get called on. There is also the Q&A feature down at the bottom of your screen. You can type a question there and it may get answered live as we go through our presentations, or it may get answered in writing. If it's a very specific question, it might get answered to you privately in writing, or it will get answered in a way that everybody who has access to the Q&A, which should be all of our participants here today, all of our attendees, can see the answer to that as well. If you are a phone participant here with us today, Looks like we just have one today, or you're not comfortable raising your hand or putting your question in the chat. You can use the advisory committee email address, and we do have folks that are monitoring that box and will bring those questions to our attention during the presentation, or if you send questions after the presentation, we will make sure that the right folks get back to you. All right, so at this point, I think we can jump right in and bring out Joycelyn for the first part of our presentation.
Thanks, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. I have a fairly brief update for you today. Just want to go over where the bills we're tracking and taking positions on and sponsored this year are at in the process. So if we could go to the next slide. For our 3 sponsored bills, AB 539 is currently on the Senate floor, and its next step after a Senate floor vote would be to go to the governor's desk. It hasn't been amended up to this point in time. We are working with administrative agencies like Department of General Services, Department of Finance, and the Government Operations Agency to make sure that they understand where we're going with that piece of legislation. And so we're excited that that's moved so far and had unanimous support in the legislature. AB 551 on our CalSTRS IRA, I'm sure I let you know last time, but just to do that again, it's a 2-year bill currently on the Assembly floor. And SB 634, housekeeping bill, is currently back to the Senate for concurrence in Assembly amendments. So it's its last step before it goes to the governor's office. So things are starting to wind down a little bit. I guess I should mention that the legislature is on recess right now. They probably let you know that this morning. They'll be back August 16th. So we'll see action on a couple of these bills and more that I'm going to list coming up. So next slide, please. We can move to, there we go. Thank you. You know about these positions on these bills because they were taken earlier in the year. The next slide will be new positions to you, but I don't think there are any that directly impact you. So I think that won't be too much of an issue. But AB 1019 on Turkish divestment remains in its original policy committee and hasn't moved from there at this point. SB 294 on removing the limit on service credit that can be earned as an elected officer of an employee organization is currently on the Assembly floor. It was amended in the Assembly, so if it moves off the Assembly floor, it'll go back to the Senate for concurrence before it goes to the governor's office. SB 457, another Turkish divestment bill, obviously started in the Senate, made its way to the Assembly, but remains in the policy committee there. And HR 82 on the repeal of the weapon GPO in Congress remains in its original policy committee and hasn't moved. So the next slide, please. AB 845, the board, our Teachers Retirement Board, took a neutral if amended position on that bill. And it actually has already been signed by the governor. So that one is in place. We'll have the COVID-19 presumption for disability retirement, which again, because we don't offer disability industrial disability benefits, doesn't really impact CalSTRS to a great extent. AB 890 is requiring an emerging managers report. And so this is largely for our investment staff and the emerging managers they work with. The board took a neutral position. And this bill is on the Senate floor waiting for a vote there, kind of in the same boat as AB 539, our investment procurement bill. And I don't believe it was amended either, so it would have a quick jump to the governor's desk once the vote's taken. AGR 9, this is the resolution encouraging, oh shoot, it says the repeal of the weapon, the GPO. It's supposed to be the repeal of the weapon GPO. So HR 82 on the previous slide is the actual congressional bill, and there's a companion measure in the Senate. But this is the joint resolution offered by our state legislature that would encourage those pieces of legislation to move, and those two offsets from the Social Security Act would be repealed there. The board took a support position, and this has already been chaptered as well. So it has a resolution chapter number. And then last, a couple more federal bills, S588 and HR 1549, which have to do with climate financial risk and reporting of that amongst a variety of financial institutions. So the board took a support on that, and it also remains in its first policy committee in Congress. And I did want to let you know that next time we'll be meeting, I think, is November, and we'll be bringing back to you at this point in time. My plan will be to bring to you the housekeeping provisions that we would like to pursue in 2022. So I'll be coming next quarter. So that's all I have, unless there are any questions.
Thanks, Joycelyn. I'm not seeing any questions, but That's not to say folks aren't typing as we speak. I did just want to go through the legislative while we're waiting to see if there are questions coming in. I did want to just go through the legislative calendar with folks because this is the first of a 2-year session cycle. So as Joycelyn mentioned, they are currently on a summer break recess. They will return and resume business on August 16th. And then the last day for a session and any movement of the legislature to pass and approve bills is September 10th, Friday, September 10th. And then the governor has 30 days. Anything that was passed on to his desk for review and approval, veto, or no signature, the governor has 30 days from the 10th of September. So that would be October 10th. So that's the legislative schedule that'll take us through this session year. And then as Joycelyn mentioned, she'll be back in November. But I am looking, I don't see any questions. Kim, do we have any hands?
Either. No, nothing in the Q&A, and I don't see any raised hands.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Joycelyn. Appreciate it. So should we move on to Kelly?
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Kelly Meriano. I'm a financial reporting manager in CalSTRS accounting branch. And I'm joined on the call today by Art Martinez, who's a director of financial planning and reporting. And Art's on the line to help answer any questions that you may have at the end of this presentation with myself. So today's presentation will be an update on a presentation given back in April 2021 at the April 2021 EAC, where we notified employers that we'll be issuing a survey and requesting feedback on employers' usage of published information related to the MPP program. So next slide, please. Okay, so just kind of wanted to start with some background on the MPP program. So the Medicare Premium Payment Program, or MPP program, was established July 1st, 2001 to provide other post-employment benefits, or OPEB, to the eligible defined benefit program members. So under the MPP program, CalSTRS pays Medicare Part A premiums for eligible members, as well as Medicare Parts A and B late enrollment surcharges for eligible members. Next slide, please. So administrators of OPEB plans, as well as participants in OPEB plans, in this case, employers, have financial reporting requirements related to the participation in the OPEB plan. And you as employers are subject to the requirements of GASB 75, which basically just states, information as a participant in the OPEB plan, information that you are required to disclose in your financial statements. So, to assist employers with their reporting requirements coming from GASB 75, CalSTRS prepares reports on an annual, or we used to prepare a report on an annual basis called the OPEB report. And this report had all the information that you needed as employers to make the disclosures required to comply with GASB 75. So next slide, please. So we began kind of a few months ago looking at we're curious about the extent that employers are utilizing the information that we publish in the OPEB report related to the MPP program. But not only were we interested in the extent to which employers were utilizing the OPEB report, but also just generally if employers were reporting information on the MPP program in financial statements. So to figure this out, we issued a survey to employers back in the spring 2021. We got feedback there. And then we also sampled some employers' financial statements, basically just trying to evaluate if employers are accounting for and also making disclosures about the MPP program in the financial statements. So next slide, please. So based on the survey, based on our research, we noted that employers are not widely reporting information on the MPP program, and generally that also employers are not widely utilizing the OPEB report that we prepared. So, and it's based on our understanding of how this works. Information on the MPP program is not likely widely used because these items tend not to be significant to employers' financial statements. Each employer may be different, but that's sort of our understanding and our interpretation of why we kind of discovered that they weren't widely being reported on. But also we took a look holistically at the information we publish in the OPEB report, and we also noted that all the information that was in the OPEB report is actually already included in other documents that we publish as well. So at the end of the day, there was kind of a lot of overlap in the information that we publish. So we have the independent OPEB report that we prepare every year, and then we've got a few other reports online that we make available. And all the information that was in the OPEB report is actually also available already in reports that we make available online. So next slide, please. So at the end of the day, in light of the factors that the information that we have prepared in the OPEB report is already available, we will not be preparing the OPEB report anymore beginning with the fiscal year ended June 30, 2021. So the most recent fiscal year end, we won't be preparing the OPEB report anymore going forward. Despite that, like I said, all this information will still be available. So, and just one other point about this, the June 30, 2021 OPEB report typically does not get used by the majority of employers until next fiscal year. So there's the OPEB reports typically used 1 year in arrears. So your June 30, 2022 financial reports would likely have utilized the June 30, 2021 OPEB report. But instead of using the OPEB report, you'll be utilizing these other sources of information. So at the bottom of the slide here, I've kind of listed out some other sources of information, or the other sources of information that we'll have available. Most notably, the comprehensive annual financial report. Within there, we have information on our OPEB plan and a lot of the numbers that you'll need to make your disclosures there. The OPI report, which relates to our pension plan, that's available on our website. And then also the financial reporting actuarial valuation reports, which are annual reports that are prepared by our consulting actuary, Milliman. And then also we have like an online FAQs website where that we update annually, and that we will also be updating to be more specific related to these this information. So, even though we won't be preparing the OPEB report anymore going forward, we'll have a section of the FAQs that points, employers directly to where you need to go to access the reports that you need for the information, as well as, screenshots from the reports themselves that say, hey, this is the information you're looking for. So next slide, please. So next steps, there'll be lots of additional outreach. We really want to get the word out on this. So, be looking for email blasts, potentially more updates at future EACs. But most notably, I think what's going to help most employers is the updates to our FAQs. So, check on those. We'll be getting a lot of detail out there. But one thing that we wanted to encourage as well is that people who are involved in the preparation of the financial statements, your external auditors may be used to you utilizing the OPEB report as support for information in your financial statements. So really just kind of want to encourage employers to get out in front of that and work with your auditors and kind of let them know that information used related to the MPP disclosures about the MPP program, that support may change, and just kind of let them know, that one's going to change, and the two kind of give them an idea of the reports that you may be utilizing instead. So just really wanted to encourage having discussions with the external auditor, with your external auditors in this. And this is a lot of accounting jargon, and I'm not sure, how much of it actually is going to stick, but if you got any questions on this, or if you think of anything subsequent to the EAC, my team and I have a shared email box, financialreporting@calstrs.com. So, these slides will be available. So if you need that email, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll get back to you. So I believe that's it. So any questions?
Thanks, Kelly. I'm not seeing any questions or hands raised, but while we're waiting for some that may come in, I did want to also just thank you for this update and presentation, and to put in a plug for and encouraging folks, if staff have questions about CalSTRS and what it is or what it isn't, Our comprehensive financial statement that's issued in the fall annually is a really great document. I think we go out of our way, and I'm not trying to self-promote here, but I really think that our financial services team really puts a lot of energy and attention to making sure that it isn't accountant speak, that it's written in language that's easy to follow, is informative, is comprehensive, in addition to all of the ledger sheets that support. And so again, it's a really, I always, when new staff ask me, how can I get up to speed on CalSTRS and what it is, I always reference and recommend that they look at that annual financial report, because it is a really informative, comprehensive summary of what we do. So I just wanted to plug that.
Diane, do you want to address Teresa's question in the Q&A? It's regarding BASC.
We are, thank you. Yes, Teresa, we are planning to socialize this at CSESA and the BASC subcommittee. In fact, I have a conversation scheduled with Derek Lennox to talk through opportunities to, again, make sure that we keep them apprised and up to date. I know Benke, when we were doing the original survey about the MPP program, he also presented there as well. So we do need to follow up and close the loop with them as well. So that's on the short list, and I expect that will happen sometime in the next 2-3 months maximum.
Awesome. Thanks, Teresa, for that. And any other questions for Kelly? Perfect. Okay, so it looks like we will move on to our employer training resources and employer services very own Samantha Erickson.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. As Kim just stated, I am on the employer, or excuse me, I'm a trainer on the employer. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I am a trainer on the training and development team here with an employer services with CalSTRS. And today I am going to be presenting to you guys the employer training resources. So as Kim and Diane mentioned previously in the meeting agenda, there is actually, this document is provided to you guys. So if you have any questions afterwards or you missed something that I said, you can go ahead and look at this document. And then if all else fails, you can always reach out to your employer help representative by emailing employerhelp@calstrs.com. And then they'll be able to help assist in navigating things or reaching out to the training team for help. Okay. But we are here for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so you can see the employer support portal, because this is one of those training resources I'm going to talk about today, as well as the pension administration learning management system known as PALMS, because that is a mouthful to say. Awesome. So you guys should now be seeing the employer support portal on your screen here. It's really easy to navigate to this portal. You can just go ahead and type this into your web browser URL, employersupport.calstrs.com. If you can't remember that email address, or excuse me, that URL address, you can, again, that is linked on that document as well. So the employer support portal, this is where you can find updates and resources to support your transition to the new secure employer website, as well as teachers retirement law materials and resources such as PALMS, which again, I said is the pension administration learning management system. And then we also have some teachers retirement law job aids that I'll go over here in a second. And then also other job aids that pertain to both some webinars that are coming up, as well as PALMS navigation. So first things, I'm going to just go ahead and look under this tools and resources section here. And can go ahead and just open up this teacher's retirement law job aids. Okay, and then you should be able to see here, I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit so it's a little bigger for you guys. Hopefully that is good, but we have 10 different job aids that are currently available to you guys, covering different topics of the teacher's retirement law. So maybe you have a question about creditable service, or maybe it's annualized pay rates. If it is that creditable service one, you're going to go ahead and you can utilize this job aid here and open it up. Okay, it's thinking just like me today. Okay, so the credible service job aid then opens up. These job aids are kind of framed in questions. So each section will be a question. The first one you can see here says, what is creditable service? So you can expect that question to be answered within that section. And in these job aids, we do offer, or we have the education codes that are relevant provided here. So you can see up at the top, we have education code sections 22119.5 and then 26113. So we have those throughout this document as well for you guys to reference and utilize. And then also, again, we have the link to email your employer help representative if you have any questions. But basically, these job aids are going to help you walk through. Again, if you had questions on creditable service, you would want to go to this job aid and just walk through each of the sections. We also have some other linked documents or job aids, excuse me, here as well. So maybe you have some questions about working after retirement. Once you're looking at credible service, you can go ahead and kind of bounce between these job aids. So it's just kind of phrased this way. I'm going to go back now. Okay. Zoom out a little bit for you guys. Okay. And so I highly recommend honestly printing these out and having them at your desk if you wish to do so, or maybe you have a newer staff member at your employer and maybe you're trying to onboard them. It might be nice to print these out just so that they have that reference item. I personally still utilize these. I like the layout of them so much. So I cannot be a bigger advocate for utilizing these job aids as you are going through looking at the teacher's retirement law. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close that now. And then we're going to look at the other job aids section under the tools and resources here. I'm specifically going to highlight the PALMS account instructions. Again, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. PALMS account instructions, as well as the PALMS CBT navigation, and then the teacher's retirement law trainings. So I'll go ahead and open the teacher's retirement law trainings, this job aid here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit here. So we, if you guys were working last fiscal year, you probably saw that we did start implementing webinars for you guys. Typically, we did have some in-person events. Maybe we visited your county office of education and they held that in-person event for you guys. However, due to COVID, that's not happening. So we do have these webinars via Zoom, just kind of like this EAC today. But we have these webinars available to you guys in order to go through any of the teacher's retirement law trainings that we offer. And if you are interested in one, it is a self-registration process. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. So the first one listed is credible compensation. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay. So credible compensation, maybe you're interested in learning a little bit more about maybe the conditions that make compensation creditable, or maybe the types of credible compensation. So is it salary or maybe remuneration paid in addition to salary? You're like, what am I saying? So it would be nice to attend one of these webinars, but we do have 4 different dates available for this specific topic here. And you would just go ahead and select the date and time that works best for you. So maybe you're thinking, hey, that September date, that works perfect for me. You go ahead and just click that link there. And then it takes you to this webinar registration page, excuse me. And it does have the description of the course as well as the time. So you can double check and say, did I sign up for the right one, or am I on the right registration link? You'll go ahead and sign in, or excuse me, put in your information, your name, email, and then fill out a couple questions here. And then you'll click this blue registration button. And then you will be brought to a confirmation page. And from that page, you can actually save the Zoom link to your calendar. And I highly recommend doing that just so it's easy to keep track of that link, because these registration links are very unique per who you are. So I wouldn't go ahead and share it with other people. And then also you should receive an email as well, and it will have that link as well for you guys. And then I believe a day before you should get a reminder email. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this now. Okay, so that was the teachers' retirement law trainings. Again, highly recommend utilizing those, using those for maybe if you're a newer employee or you wanted to brush up on some of the teachers' retirement law materials or anything like that, I would definitely just sign up for those. We do not currently have a cap on those either, so go ahead and sign up. Okay, and then next up, I'm going to talk about the PALMS account instructions and PALMS CBT navigation before I go and go into PALMS with you guys. Okay. So here is the PALMS account instructions job aid. So this one just basically walks you through creating a new account. Maybe you're a new user to PALMS, and it just step-by-step walks through that process. Going to go ahead and scroll down here. And then also on this job aid, it does go through resetting your password, or maybe you forgot your username. So again, it walks you through that process if you need any assistance on that. But if you check out this job aid and you still need additional assistance or something's not working, you can always reach out to your employer help representative as well. Okay, I'm going to exit out of this one now. Open up the PALMS CBT navigation. So this one, super simple. It's just kind of going over what buttons are there. So CBT, this stands for computer-based training, which is an online virtual training that you can take as many times as you would like, and it is self-paced. So you can pause it and come back to it, but it is at your own pace that you can take these courses. And these CBT courses, they are the same material that we go over in our in-person, or excuse me, webinars that we offer. So if you aren't able to attend a webinar, you can always go to the computer-based trainings on PALMS and utilize that. Perfect. Okay. And then I am now going to go ahead and sign into the Pension Administration Learning Management System, again, known as PALMS, definitely a more user-friendly name. Okay. Okay. And so since I'm already a user within PALMS, it recognizes my username already. However, if it is your first time here, maybe you haven't registered for PALMS already, you would just go down here to, is this your first time here? And then go through the create new account. And we just went over one of those job aids that walks you through that step by step. It only takes a couple of minutes. It's very painless, I promise. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and sign in so we can see what in the world am I talking about. It wants to let me sign in. No. There we go. Okay, must have fat fingered something. Okay, so it will bring you to this Palms landing page here over your home page, if that's what you want to call it. You guys are probably going to utilize the course category section the most here. We also below have some site news, so maybe there's some courses that have been added or any updates. We would put some notes here for you guys. And then also on the right-hand side here, we have visit our employer support portal for more helpful resources. So you can also, maybe if you have Palms bookmarked on your browser, you can start off at Palms and then you can bounce back to the employer support portal just by clicking that link there, which I'll show you guys if it wants to load. Okay, and see they both kind of just bounce back and talk to each other. So each site does have the other linked. But back to Palms, so the course categories, there's currently 3 different course categories listed here: employer onboarding resources, new SO training, as well as teachers retirement law training materials. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the employer onboarding resources section here. It brings you to this new page here. But I do want to point out, or at least note, so the employer onboarding resources section, this is actually going to be slowly integrated into the training or the TRL, Teachers Retirement Law training materials, eventually, just so that everything is more of a one-stop shop and it's not kind of 2 different sections for you guys to navigate to. So this will eventually go away, but currently it is here, so I want to go over it with you. But the employer onboarding resources currently, this is a nice resource to have. Maybe again, if you have like a newer staff member, or maybe you just want to brush up on some of the training, teachers retirement law trainings, anything like that, or you have some initial questions. This is a good place to start because we have CalSTRS overview linked here, credible compensation, credible service, DV membership. We have a checklist, so maybe you want to walk through, print that checklist out. You can walk through different education codes that are relevant, things like that. We also have the reduced workload program linked here, and then reporting and so. Okay, I'll go ahead and open one up just so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. So CalSTRS overview, and then right here on the right-hand side, it does have a little summary of what this course is. So this is going to outline member-specific information, as well as a general overview of CalSTRS and our plan design and functions. So basically, CalSTRS overview, go ahead and open that. And just when I opened that course, you guys, if this is your first time looking at this course here, you will be prompted to click an Enroll Me button, just because I am already a user and I have more permissions likely than you do. You didn't see that piece, but don't fret if you're going through this and you're prompted to click an Enroll Me button. Just go ahead and click it, and then you'll be able to see all of the information that I'm displaying right now. So within this overview, we have member videos, member publications, and then employer support portal resources. So just a bunch of different resources here for you guys to kind of get a feel of what a CalSTRS overview is. I'm going to go back to the home page now, or the Palms landing page, just by clicking this home page or home button here. And it brings me right back to the course categories section that we initially started at. So briefly, I want to go and look at the new SO training as well. So this pops open this page for you guys. And here are all the available courses under new SO training. So again, this is going to relate to the new SO that will be coming along here eventually. And ton of different courses. I'll scroll back up. And again, once you click this course link, so maybe you're interested in contribution reporting, you go ahead and open that up. You should be prompted to click the Enroll Me button so that you have access and can see everything that is currently on my screen as well. And then let's say you're interested in contribution file uploads. So you want to know, how in the world am I supposed to upload this contribution file? These little, what is it? A yellow box, I guess. These yellow boxes here and the linked contribution file upload. This is actually going to be a link to that CBT, which is that computer-based training again. So you just go ahead and click that open and then click enter, and it will either pop up in another window or it will pop up in the same window that you already are in. And then you'll just go ahead and press play. You can navigate or navigate through the CBT by pressing play. You can go back and forward. Maybe you want to add closed captioning. I personally like adding the closed captioning to the CBTs just so that I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it, and I'm reading it all at once. Kind of sensory overload, but that option is available to you guys as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. And then it's the same thing for all of these other courses here. But also when you are going through that computer-based training, at the end of the training, you will be prompted to either retake it or you can answer a knowledge check just to see how the retention is on the information that was provided. If maybe you accidentally skip that, you can always go back and look at the knowledge check here as well. And for this specific course, there's only 5 questions. They're super fast, but that is available to you guys as well to kind of check your knowledge as well. Okay. I'm going to go back to the home screen again. Awesome. And the last section here is the teacher's retirement law training materials. And again, this is the section that I said the employer onboarding resources will eventually be integrated within. Okay, so it brings you to this page here. And you'll notice that this very first one, the cash balance benefit program participation, is kind of grayed out a little bit. Not sure if you can see that clear as clear on my screen as yours. But this is just because this one is actually under construction. So if you are a cash balance employer or maybe a COE who handles other cash balance employers, get excited because this one is coming your guys' way, but still in that development process right now. Okay, and some of the courses offered: credible compensation, credible service, DB membership, DB reporting requirements. And when I say DB, that's defined benefit. Sorry, I just got in the habit of saying DB. Reduced workload program, unused sick leave, and then working after retirement. So these are currently all of the courses that are offered to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and just click open credible service. This one, again, is kind of my go-to when I'm showing employers these resources, just because credible service, as it says right here, is the foundation of reporting to CalSTRS. So it's super important, that first step you want to look at. Opened up that course. Again, if it's your first time opening this up, you will be prompted to click that Enroll Me button. So these are set up with an introduction, and then we have related laws, documents. So the related laws are linked here, so you can go ahead and actually click open these, and it will take you straight to the California. It wants to load. Okay, legislative information. So you can literally look at the law here. That is linked in Palms for you guys. And then we also have, again, those related documents. So some directives that are relevant. And then the credible service job aid, that is also linked here as well as the employer support portal. So maybe if you are just going through Palms, this is more of a one-stop shop for you guys. If you're just wanting to look more at credible service, that job aid is here available for you guys here as well. And then since we are talking about credible service, it has minimum requirement resources. So each of these courses is kind of catered. You wouldn't necessarily see this minimum requirements resources section within credible compensation, because that's not really what you would be talking about when you're looking at that. And then last but certainly not least, we have both the computer-based trainings and the instructor-led training resources here towards the bottom. So if you wanted to go through that computer-based training, again, that self-paced training that we kind of looked at a second ago, you can go ahead and click this link here. Once you complete it, please go ahead and provide any CBT feedback. Or maybe you saw something, maybe you loved the CBT. Please provide any and all feedback. Your responses are anonymous. And then also don't forget to take the knowledge check just to see where your knowledge is on that topic. And then the instructor-led training resources. So this one you guys will probably maybe utilize a little bit more if you're using or attending one of our webinars that we're currently offering, because this training guide right here is actually going to be the PowerPoint slide deck that is presented to you guys. I know everyone always wants to have the PowerPoints beforehand so you guys can jot down notes. So this is available to you guys. It is listed again as that training guide here on Palms. And then also after you guys do attend that webinar or maybe a training, we will ask that you provide any instructor-led training feedback, so ILT feedback, just so that we can continuously improve our training materials for you guys. And then last but not least, we have this post-training assessment here, just to kind of, again, assess that knowledge retention. So we recommend waiting at least 2 weeks after attending a training in order to complete this, just so that we have the most accurate results there. So this is Palms kind of in a nutshell. These teachers retirement law training materials, they're really kind of that one-stop shop, again, because you have those related laws, documents, the CBTs, instructor-led training materials. So those PowerPoints available to you guys. So highly, highly recommend or insist that you guys sign up for Palms. Okay, I'm gonna go back here. And then let's go back and navigate, or let's go back to the employer training resources slide deck, I believe. Jonathan, can you take back? Perfect. Okay. There we go. So here's that document that I was referencing throughout, that again, you can find on the agenda for this EAC. And then also I do, while I have you guys here, I did want to give a quick reminder that reporting is due to us August 13th at 4 p.m. for our annual update process. If you have any questions about that reporting or the annual update process, please reach out to your employer health representative and they'll be able to assist you with that as well. Okay, I will pause here. Were there any questions or Kim?
Thank you so much, Samantha. You just got a great comment that that resource is a great help and they didn't even know it existed until this presentation. So that's perfect. There were some specifics going back and forth in the Q&A, but we've taken care of those questions. I do want to address a couple of those comments though. One being about Samantha's actual presentation outside of that document was actually her walking through the site. So that is not like a canned presentation. If your employer would like that someone to walk you through that, then we can request that as part of your training request for your county. You can request that your districts are also attending these trainings. So just email us at employertraining@calstrs.com. And that would be a way to get some of those, that more customized information specific to your employer. So that was just a walkthrough. It's not something that you're going to find in our agenda materials or anything. That slide though, that was up at the end, if you want to go back, Jonathan. So that slide is in our slide deck that is on the EAC site. One of the things that I want to address, and it comes up here again with Teresa's comment, that the job aids are not detailed enough. And so one of the things I want to address there, and actually I might throw this over to our training manager, Megan, but I'm going to address something really quickly on that, is that there's only so many specific scenarios we can drill down to in our job aids that are designed to help as many employers as possible. And I know you guys want more specific scenarios covered in the job aids, and it becomes very difficult and very unwieldy to provide training at that level of detail because every employer does things differently. One of the struggles that we have as the system is the wide diversity in how each of your districts negotiates your contracts. So what you might do in Alameda versus what someone else might do in Orange County, you might have the same intent, but how your language puts it together creates a very different outcome in terms of whether or not it's considered creditable service or creditable compensation. And because of that, it makes it very difficult for us to create very in-depth job aids that drill down that far, because it might address what 2 employers over here need, but not address what 30 over here needs. So Megan, if you and I have been going back and forth about some of these questions, maybe if you could jump in and talk about that really quickly, if you're willing.
No pressure, right?
Unmute her. I know you might have to unmute her. Let's see, I know she's in there. Maybe not.
Which Megan would you like?
Megan Wallach.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
We can.
I wasn't prepared
Thanks,
to present and I don't have my CalSTRS background. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
So yes, I'm the training manager. We are working so hard to get you guys the information that you're asking for. These job aids are something that we wanted to put together so that your districts had access to information. I know it's more general than what the counties would use, but we were hoping it would alleviate some of those general questions that you guys take care of while we're working with you on some of our pension solution efforts. So I don't want to say we rushed to get it done because it's accurate. We put a lot of thought into it, but we wanted to hurry to get something out to you guys while we were prioritizing our pension solution efforts. With some of the stuff that's going on with pension solution, my team's going to have more bandwidth. So we're actually going in and looking at adding more specific examples, more specific stuff where we can. But like Kim said, it's really hard because there's about 1,800 of you and you all have different contract language, different class of employees within yours. So we're never going to be able to give you specific questions, and that it depends. We kind of joke it's fact sensitive. It really depends on the nuances of your contracts. And that's why it's hard to give you like an if-then chart. I do have some ideas on things that I'd like to do. And a lot of that sparked from some of the conversations that I had with you, Teresa, actually, when we last met on some pension solutions stuff. So I'd like to reach out to some folks on some ideas of things that we can make more effective and resonate more with your district specifically, of course, but then also for you guys. So if there are areas where we can provide specificity and we're not doing that because we think it's clear, but it's not clear to you, for example, the retirement incentive piece that Andrea had brought up, I'd love to add that information. So if you're looking at these job aids and you have feedback on how we can make them more specific, I can't guarantee that we can add that because it might not apply to everybody, but I'd love to mull that over with you guys and add that specificity where we can. So you can email us directly at employertraining@calstrs.com with any feedback on that. And like I said, I'm happy to mull it over and have the discussion, answer your questions so you can report that information, of course. But if we can make those materials more meaningful to you, I'm welcoming that feedback and would love to have it. Just can't guarantee that we can always make it happen. I also have some things that I'd like to get more realistic examples on for some of your scenarios, and things that we include in our trainings don't always resonate with everyone because we make some assumptions. And so if we can make those examples resonate more with you in the districts, I'd love to do that too. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to shoot that over to my team, and we will mull it over and maybe poke around some questions. And we are working on those materials and hopefully have some updated stuff in the next few months here that are more meaningful, you guys. But I'm glad that the job aids are there and that they are useful for the districts for that general information. And hopefully that alleviates some of the communication that you have to have with them. And like I said, we can open them up and provide that specificity where we can. So I appreciate your excitement about them and your willingness to read them and use them, and any feedback you have on them as well. So thank you. Oh, and just to clarify too, if any of you would like to do a county specific training for your districts, we've been doing a series of quarterly webinars that are open to all districts. But if you have several districts that are open to or that need support and you'd like to do a county specific training with a trainer, you can contact us directly at employertraining@calstrs.com. We've been kind of coupling them with most counties doing credible service and membership in one webinar, and then doing a webinar either in the afternoon or on a separate day on creditable compensation. And that seems to not kind of get everyone into Zoom fatigue so much with all the Zoom meetings we have going on. So we've done that with several of our larger counties and it's been pretty successful. We can go over these materials with them as well. We're also going over these materials at the beginning of each quarterly training. But on those meetings, we can kind of dig into some of those things that are more specific to your districts that come up if time permits and if that's something you'd like to do. So please shoot an email to us if that's something you're interested in as well. Thank you.
Don't go away, Megan. So there is a question in our Q&A that says, is there any thought to bringing back the employer reporting handbook that used to be published? Before I have you answer that, I want to just touch on Victoria's comment about the direction that CalPERS is going with creditable compensation. Obviously, we are in contact with our partners at CalPERS on a regular basis and look at the things that they are doing. Just understand that we operate with very different laws regarding creditable compensation for CalSTRS versus CalPERS. So there's only so much matching we can do on that front. Very different systems, and we just happen to have a lot of the same customers. So I know that can make it confusing for all of you. So we will definitely, continue to partner with them and try and do everything we can to streamline the processes for you so that there isn't as much of a disparity between the two. But again, because some of it is dictated by our laws, we can only do so much on that front. But now, Megan, if you want to address the question about the employer reporting handbook. You're muted. Oh, can we let her unmute again, please? Jonathan.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was a one opportunity unmute. I have dogs, so trying to muffle that noise. So yes, I'm very optimistic about bringing back some sort of a handbook. We like the idea of doing it in the job aid portion, just so it's not a giant booklet that when one thing gets updated, the entire document gets updated. So we're kind of introducing those job aids so that you have more like topic based, but the goal is for those things to eventually provide that level of support that the employer reporting guide provided several years ago. The issue with that is that the regulations aren't always clear in that direction. So we're having internal conversations about things that aren't clear in our plan design, where we need to make some decisions about things and then put that into either statute or regulations, and then we can be able to train to that. So I'm providing the level of specificity where I can on things that we've had conversations on with stakeholders and that we know we're going to either put into the law or that are currently in the law and that the law supports. But a lot of the things that we get asked about, it could fit in a couple different ways and the law is not clear and different folks have different opinions. So we need to work through some of that disconnect before I put it into a training material as a certain direction, a specific direction for you guys. So I want to make sure that we're not training to anything that's going to turn around and change in the next year or so and have you back out and re-report and do all of that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure that we're providing that specificity where the law provides us the authority to do so, and where we know that we're not going to be changing that as we look through some of these cleanup efforts that we're doing with the regulations that are currently going on. So again, if you have questions or ideas on any of them, please bring them in, because I'd rather have the conversations now on where would that fit? Is that something we need to consider versus, going through the effort and then going, oops, we forgot that one. So, we want to think that we're doing a comprehensive job. The regulations certainly tackled a lot of the payments that we see, but, in the last several years, things evolve and additional types of payment structures come up, and we're not exactly sure where those would fit. So definitely working on that. I know everyone at CalSTRS really supports the idea of that document and providing that support, because we want you guys to have the information you need to report accurate information on time. So it's definitely a huge priority for us. I'm not going to mute just in case I can't unmute again. So
okay, thank you so much, Megan. Any other questions while we have Megan here with us, so that we can not lose her on the mute again? I think we've gone through all of the questions in the Q&A, and I don't see any raised hands. So I think you're safe for now, Megan.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute. But again, employertraining@calstrs.com. If you want training, you have suggestions on training, questions about training, send it to us. Either I'll respond, or each of you have a dedicated training analyst for your county. So someone will be in contact with you soon, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. And I know Carla had a question about accessing today's presentation. So again, I wanted to just make sure folks know how to navigate the Employer Advisory Committee landing page at calstrs.com. So again, www.calstrs.com/employer-advisory-committee. Employer-advisory-committee. That's the landing page. And from there, you'll see the schedule of meetings and the times and dates. Below that, you'll see the meeting agenda and materials. So the materials, we have 5 hyperlinks to the materials supporting today's conversation and dialogue. And as Kim just mentioned, the one piece related to the employer training resources is the actual PDF document, because Samantha, as I previously stated, was actually navigating the system live. So just wanted to make sure we had some clarity on how to find the materials and where they're posted at the calstrs.com website.
All right. As always, we appreciate your attendance. Our next slide talks about our next EAC, which is in November. If we can bring that slide up with the next date. It is scheduled to be a Zoom meeting, and we are still working on the 2022 dates. And given the fluid nature of the situation in the world right now, we are not certain yet exactly what format those will be in. So I think that for right now, we can just plan on Zoom for sure for November. So we will see you back in this format. I did see a question pop up about the timeline of the Pension Solution Project. I know we have some of our Pension Solution partners on here, and I know John Hammond is actually not listed as a panelist, but if we can allow him to talk, we can have him just do a quick, hold on, I gotta find him.
And while we're working on that piece, I did want to also, related to the Pension Solution Project, I did want to bring to folks' attention, there was a presentation at the July board meeting, the regular meeting in July, which did detail and outline where we're at with the project. We do expect there will be another update on that project timeline at the September board meeting. The September board meeting is the 1st and 2nd. It'll be a 2-day meeting. But again, back to the July conversation, that is available for folks to see and read the board item, as well as watch the video presentation, the archive from that conversation and dialogue. But if my memory serves, which lately COVID has really polluted and eroded my short-term memory. But with that caveat, the pension solution project, we expect that the delay will be somewhere between 18 to 24 months at this point. And again, we will have additional updates and additional conversation and dialogue, narrowing that timeline down so that it's not a 6-month fluctuation. So again, that's still a very fluid schedule that has not been finalized to date, but we are looking at somewhere between 18 and 24 months.
And Nancy, the board archives are all available on the board section of our .com website. So the CalSTRS.com website, you can access prior meetings and recordings from there. John, is there anything you want to add to the pension solution discussion on top of what Diane already offered to the group?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to ensure everybody that the revised schedule is not impacting our approach to support employers during the project. So activities like testing in the employer readiness environment, education in the employer support portal, those are still very relevant activities. The delay is really essentially allowing for more time for testing and training, and to address any other changes you need to address in order to acclimate to the new system. I can tell you that the employer readiness team, that we are planning additional support activities to support you in your transition over this extended period of time. And so I just wanted to mention that. And as a reminder, if you need help navigating the employer readiness environment, or you need training, then please reach out to the your employer help representative at employerhelp@calstrs.com. And if you want to schedule like a follow-up readiness visit with the employer readiness team, you can reach out to us at psemployerreadiness@calstrs.com. So that's really it for me. Just wanted to let you know that we're still here and still thinking about you guys in regards to the pension solution project.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on. Any other questions? Like I said, we will be on Zoom again for November. And if you have questions that you weren't comfortable bringing to the group in this way, you can email us at advisorycommittee@calstrs.com, or for our various presenters, they all offered their own separate email addresses. At the for employer services, employer help at CalSTRS.com is how you would get to your specific employer help representative, and employer training at CalSTRS.com for your specific training representative. So I know we were trying to keep it short and sweet for you all today after your long CalPERS meeting this morning. And if you do have any agenda items or things that you'd like us to cover in our November meeting, please go ahead and email those ideas to the advisory committee email address. Otherwise, we will be planning our agenda for you as always, and look forward to seeing you there. Diane, anything else you want to add?
No, but I do see that Kathleen has her hand raised. So, and Jim has a hand raised. And if we could get those folks unmuted.
Go ahead with Kathleen, because I think that was the first one we saw, right?
Correct. She's currently muted.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't have a question. Jim, I know Jim did. It was Jim, right? Had his hand raised.
I think he lowered it.
I think he lowered it. Okay. Alex has a question. Nope. I don't know why.
Everybody's just testing their raise hand button.
There we go.
All right. Diane and I can stick around for a little while longer if there are questions and you guys want to try and ask them. So I'm happy to stick around and have some of our panelists stick around. But meanwhile, in the interest of respecting everybody else's time, thank you so much. And we will see you in November.
Thanks, everybody.